The Hebrew armies of King Saul and the Philistine forces were only a few kilometers away from Jerusalem. However, a giant warrior called Goliath was among the enemies of the people of Israel. He dared any Hebrew to take him on in one-on-one combat, but the Hebrews' hearts were gripped with fear, as facing such a giant was akin to a death wish. There was, however, a young shepherd, the son of Jesse, who tended his father's flocks. His name was David, and he had already been anointed by God. Following his father's orders, David headed to the battlefield to bring supplies to his older brothers. He encountered Goliath, who had been ridiculing the courage of the people of Israel for 40 days, who refused to face him. David told King Saul that he would take on the giant, but the king argued him out of it. Goliath, besides his gargantuan size, had also been trained as a warrior since childhood. However, David told him that, as a shepherd, it was his duty to protect his flock from predators, be they bears or lions. The old King Saul asked God to bless him and gave him weapons and armor, but David said he was not used to those garments and preferred not to wear them. Holding his staff and equipped with a sling and 5 stones, David headed out to face Goliath, who scornfully glared at his opponent and asked him if he thought the Philistine warrior was a shaggy dog that could be chased away with a stick. For his audacity, the young man's flesh would be food for the birds. David fired back, saying that he was standing there in the name of the God of Israel, and that the giant would topple over and have his head torn from his body, and that everywhere people would be hearing about the day when the Lord's warrior was given victory at the hands of God. Goliath grew livid and attacked David, who, armed with his sling, got ready for battle. With a shot led by the Lord, David struck Goliath in the forehead with a stone, with him falling to the ground mortally wounded. The massive, unbeatable warrior fell to the humblest of weapons. David then stepped over Goliath and, using the Philistine's own sword, ripped the giant's head off, as he said he would. David was cheered on by his people for accomplishing a victory that everyone believed to be impossible, but he never doubted it, since it was his belief in God that allowed him to attain such a victory. David was then promoted to a high position in the Israeli army, and later became king of Israel. David and Goliath's story tells us that God can use the most unexpected people to accomplish his purposes. A young shepherd boy, David, found an unshakable faith in God. With God's help, he believed he could overcome any opponent, even a giant like Goliath.